Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the One Africa podcast. Today, I have with me guest on our show. So, of the usual suspects, my name is Furo. I have Lao, Lu, and Musa. Do you
Hello,
guys want to say hello?
Hello, anyway.
Hello.
Yeah, and our first ever guest, Koromone. Koromone is a branding and communication specialist. She'll be, joining this episode. Koromone, would you like to say hi?
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be a part of this amazing podcast. Thank you for having me on.
In our usual fashion, we're pointing out that if we sound uncoordinated, it's because we are doing this remotely. We are washing our hands and staying as far away from each other as possible.
Right. So let's just jump right into it. So what we want to discuss today is really, in these times of COVID-19, how are people responding, how are businesses responding? And we want to sort of zero in on, the trends in sort of investments. Like, are people investing? Are people remaining liquid? Like, what do you guys feel like people have been doing? Like, we've seen a lot of headlines in recent times about, there's a huge rise in e-commerce, for instance, right? A lot of people are shopping online more. Delivery services are cropping up everywhere. You see, I think there's almost every day one new FMCG has now announced a delivery service. So is it that people are just staying liquid and blowing all their money on, like, meeting their day-to-day needs, or with the looming, unemployment and all the things that we expect that might come out of this, are people being a bit more cautious and saving, and what are they putting their money into?
Well, I think the answer to that question obviously differs from person to person. For starters, rates in the country are already very pathetic. They were before COVID-19 struck. And that was one of the reasons why many people started looking to alternative investments, and using apps like Bamboo and Chaka and the likes to sort of explore these opportunities. But again, like we like to point out, for the vast majority of Nigerians, like, investment is not even an option for them, considering that they're living hand to mouth. So for most people, I would assume that staying liquid will be the biggest priority, because the things that they have to grapple with are much closer to them than, say, basically what I'm trying to say is, if you are trying to buy rice so that you can feed your family every day, investments won't really be your thing. And I can also speak for myself. I'm not putting my money inside anything at this moment, please. I need to remain liquid because nobody knows what is going to happen. So that's my own hot take.
Yeah. Well, I think if you have, unless you have money as for like very, very expendable income, you should invest. But for like the rest of you, just hold your money.
Yeah.
Don't even buy dollar, just hold your money. Because buying dollar is daft now. You can't move it out. So the benefit of having a dollar is dead.
Well, to be fair, on that point, people are getting a bit creative and trying to use cryptocurrency, of which I know that one self has taken a beating, and it has been, normally it's volatile, but it has been very volatile in the last couple of weeks or so at the time that we're recording this podcast. But I know a couple of people who are trying to exit the country using cryptocurrency. They'll buy in Nigeria and then sell on a foreign exchange to get value over there. So there's also that. I'd like to point out that I am not encouraging cryptocurrency on this podcast, so nobody can accuse me in future of saying anything. So
what's it called? If you can do that, like if you have access to that, I would actually even recommend that versus instead of buying dollar for dollar's sake. Like if you have a foreign account where you can keep your FX, it's better to just stash your money there versus keeping it here, because with the restrictions, if these things get worse very soon, if you have a dorm account, they won't let you withdraw your in dollar. You have to withdraw in naira at CBN's rate.
Yeah.
So the dollar that you bought for 450, the only way you can withdraw it is at 360. You can't use it to buy anything online because if especially UGTB customers, because you can't use your card online.
Yeah.
You can't do anything with it. So your dollar is just stuck there. So
I mean,
we've
seen that happen before. Literally a couple of years ago, EcoBank was trying to. My dad was trying to get dollars out of his dorm account, and then there was the CBN regulation on that, and they were offering him naira for the USD that he had in there. The man just left it in and moved on with his life. But they relaxed it a couple of months later. But yeah, it's for us, that's a precedent. So it's something that can happen. So that's a risk you have to bear in mind.
We've already seen the limitations on withdrawal. So before you could, fund your account with cash and then use that cash for like online transactions to transfer to people and all of that. But like recently, you've seen that the banks have locked up that avenue. So yeah, so if you want to use dollar for actual transactions, having it in a domiciliary account may not be your best bet for now. Because we don't know like how much longer we're going to be in this situation, because we're seeing estimates. I mean, I saw the PwC or KPMG, they had some estimates like that went up to about 12 months, and people are saying even if we come out of the lockdown, the chances of just returning back into like full economic, what's it called? Words fail me right now. Anyway, returning to like full economic activity might not happen as soon as we expect, or anytime soon, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you want to save in dollar, maybe not in the country right now. But we still see quite a number of people trying to like spread their risks and investing in like mutual funds, like those that have spare cash, because at least your risk is a bit spread, because when you're investing in a mutual fund, you're not investing in one particular market. For instance, I know like the Standard Chartered guys offer like you can invest in like sectors, so they have funds that are tied to particular sectors, and you can actually invest in those different funds. And yeah, so like right now, obviously healthcare is like the most juicy sector to invest in, but obviously if you really want to make some gains, you should have invested before all of this started. So yeah, you still see a couple people investing, but
I'll be very I'm very curious as to how apps like Chaka and Bamboo have performed in this period. Have they witnessed any growth in terms of user base, like any spike? Not growing. I expect that they're growing on a daily basis, but in terms of like a spike in the number of users, the way the likes of Zoom in the US and Teams have experienced.
So what's it called? They probably won't admit it, but who has money? Like, who has money to be putting away? Because even the things you want to, I've already complained about the way those apps work, so I'm not even going to repeat myself again. I sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but the global economy is tanking. They too, they're going through it. So I don't know how you are going to sell somebody on a market that is at near rock bottom, and that's just doesn't seem to have then where the end doesn't seem anywhere in sight. So maybe they get numbers if you can convince them, but I don't think that they are growing as they would have grown maybe a year ago, because it's already like a tough sell. Like telling people to invest in like the stock market is already a tough sell.
I mean, and maybe Koro can speak to this, but could it, given how they market some of their, okay, I'll just come out and say it, like given the way they market their product, invest in USD, don't tie your money down in naira that is consistently being devalued and all
Invest
of
in
that.
Apple.
Invest in Apple, invest in Apple, invest in Google, buy these stocks. And knowing how Nigerians are, I know that a lot of people who make investments and use those apps are not, in my opinion, I may be wrong, and I'm just putting it out there, but are not as educated regarding that product as they ought to be using it. So given all of this, the financial literacy of the users and how those guys market it, could it be that people are still, in these desperate times, people are looking for easy ways to boost their financial positions? Could that be like a source? Again, we don't know if they're growing like that, but could that be enough for them to experience some growth in this period? And I'll tell you why I'm saying this after Koro speaks to it.
Definitely, and I think the use of the word desperate is so important, because that is something that a lot of these kinds of companies are going to ride on. The fact that, like you said, a lot of people are not really educated about the services that these types of apps offer. For them, they just hear the buzzwords, like the Apple, Google, invest, buy stocks. It sounds very exciting. And because of the language that is used as well, because the whole point of marketing is you're marketing to people's emotions. Well, that's if a company is doing it right. You're not working to convince people. You're speaking directly to their emotions. So if there's fear, if there's panic, what you're trying to do is you're going to reassure them and let them know that whatever product or service you're offering is going to take them from this this weird place of like poverty to just, riches and just wealth and all of that. So you're going to see words like that, diversify your investments, like whatever the hell that is. No, so the whole idea is let's get people, let's get their spirits jacked up. Let's get them hype about this product. But the truth is that there's only so much they're going to share. Whatever content they're creating is going to give limited information just to get the users on board, just to get them to at least make their first or buy their first stock. Because as long as a purchase is made, the company is making money, right? Whether people buy one or two, whatever, as long as somebody takes that first step to actually purchase the stock, then, from there, they have their users. But I will say though that they're going to keep whatever education that they're putting out very, very limited. And what they're going to do is they're going to try to get people, for example, people who are very big on, personal finance, those influential voices, they're going to get them to speak about, how to invest and during these times. And so when you bring voices that people trust online, you're likely to also grow your audience base, right? Even though those people are speaking to a very specific target market. So like Nosa said, if you do not have this type of disposable income, it's not wise to do that. But the average Nigerian is not going to think like that. To them, Mr. So-and-so and Mrs. So-and-so is saying, this is the best time to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it, right? Even though, whoever it is that's speaking is probably not going to say, look, it's a bit risky if you don't have, this type of income, because that's not going to look good for whatever company they're representing in that time, So I think that's what's happening now. And we are going to, like Furo said, I think a lot of people think that the economy is just going to bounce back and things are just going to stabilize, if there's a vaccine or, like magically numbers just go down to zero or something. Yeah. But that's far from the reality. So I think a lot of people at the end of this thing, or, after a couple of months, are really going to regret some financial decisions they're going to make. And the thing is that whoever it is that kind of guided them or coached them into making these decisions, they're not going to take the fall for it. It's just going to be a case of, I gave you my professional opinion. You had the responsibility to do research and ensure that you fell into whatever bucket that I was actually addressing in my IG live or my Twitter chat or whatever it is that they're doing. So I think companies like that, and like Losa said, it's unlikely they're going to actually tell us their numbers. So we can only play guessing games. It's unlikely they're actually going to come and say like, oh yeah, during COVID-19, our numbers rose. We did X amount in number and in value and volume. And even if they do, I would not trust it because I haven't worked in this sector. I know that there's also padding that goes on. So even then, I would take a lot of things with a pinch of salt. I would, yeah.
We're talking about data sharing and all of that. How do we see the tech guys responding to all of this? I feel like personally, like Koromone said, people in the tech industry are probably better placed to survive all of this. Koro says, I think she did also take conversation before now. I think the tech guys are better suited to survive this in terms of they're already like before this all started, they already had like remote work tools like readily available, not necessarily already working remotely, but quite a number of them already relied on either Slack or Jira or something to basically track tasks, and they're very much task oriented versus bigger corporates being more email activity oriented and all of that. So how do we see the tech guys really responding, like beyond being able to work remotely? I read like Paga, for instance, they reduced their fees pretty early for transactions and all of that. Like Koromone, do you have something to say about
it's so great that you mentioned that, because right before the virus, before our numbers went up in Lagos, well, in Nigeria in general, but especially in Lagos, GT had sent an email cutting their NIP transfer fees for transactions up to 5,000 Naira. I mean, at first I was like, okay, this is not a loss, but then I thought I'm probably not their target market, So the whole idea was, we're going to take away those transfer fees just to ensure that you're able to send money to your friends and to your loved ones and your family members and all of that. And when Buhari first announced the initial 2 weeks, there was not enough time. I think we had 48 hours, or maybe even less. Actually. Yeah, but there wasn't enough time for people to sort of get their, put their house in order. So I thought, okay, this is great, GT doing this and all of that. But I would say that since then, from my end, I have 4 different bank accounts, and I would say that I haven't really seen any, emails from this bank saying that, okay, we're cutting fees here, we're cutting fees there, But I know that it's something that is happening even with banks globally. It's happening with Wells Fargo, Monzo. Like they're sending out emails where they're just essentially saying we're supporting you through these times and we're trying to make it easier for you. So I would, if I could, encourage more financial institutions to do that, to just take away that burden from their customers, at least for a bit of time. Non-financial institutions are actually doing it. Both my gyms put a hold on billing for I think for about a month. Yeah, just to, because what are you charging customers for? We're not going to, so they're putting a hold on that. And, other companies are doing something similar. Other businesses are doing that because they know that whatever is going to happen in the next few months, it's not going to be the same for their businesses and for their customers. So I would say that, banks need to do that more. People are shopping online more as well. So what do transaction fees look like? So for companies that do switching, for example, like Flutterwave, Paystack, where they're charging transaction fees, whether the merchants bear the cost or the customers bear the cost, what's that going to look like? Are they going to revise those fees to make it easier to, kind of provide a cushion essentially? Or are they just going to be thinking about, okay, well, we have to make revenue as well. We have to make profit as well. So maybe it's not going to be wise to actually cut our fees. So these are interesting conversations. And I don't know if any of these institutions have actually come out to talk about it. I know there are a lot of like IG live sessions and everybody's like bringing their expert opinions, but I know that I haven't at the moment heard anyone really say, okay, this is how we want to support merchants in this. This is how we want to support their customers, knowing that, like we mentioned earlier, knowing that a lot of companies are switching they're going digital, which means they're going to be dependent on these payment companies to provide tools for them to be able to charge customers' cards. Do you understand what I mean? So everybody, I feel like, needs to be supporting each other. Saying, okay, what's the best possible way we can help each other, protect each other as well, and ensure that people are not depleting their funds or their savings or their income because they're trying to provide for themselves. Because that's what's on everybody's mind right now. How am I going to last? How am I going to fare over the next couple of months? So I think there needs to be a lot of collaboration that's going to happen between banks, financial institutions, merchants, and their customers. I don't know how it's going to happen, especially in a country like this. But I think it needs a conversation to be had.
Yeah. I think on that note, I mean, we saw like recently Carbon launched a partnership with an insurance company. Laulu, do you want to share about that?
Which one?
Carbon now.
Oh, the AXA Mansard one.
AXA Mansard health insurance thing.
Sorry, bro. I say loudly, you want to share that one. I'm like, wait, what? But yeah, the policy thing for customers who meet certain requirements. To be honest with you, I really don't. I mean, I feel like if you are going to do good, just do good. Which one is the one that the people must have funded their accounts with 5K? You must have used it in the last month or something. Like, I don't know. I may be wrong. I might be a spoiled brat, but yeah.
There's nobody that's being like truly altruistic in this country, like right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking advantage of the situation. People are trying to milk the most of most of this lockdown, because even they're all trying to drive views, they're all trying to drive their numbers, they're all trying to drive growth. Like GTB gave that thing off 5K. It was only for a limited period.
Yeah.
EcoBank used that to announce the fact that their transfers are free. Now, same thing with Standard Chartered. Carbon is we are doing 30 free transfers for 2 weeks or something. Everybody has just been very opportunistic in this period. Nobody has done like the real stuff. Like, no bank has said, okay, your loans, you're going to pause your loans, your loan payments. Nobody has done the real thing that's actually doing people. Nobody has gone that way. Everybody has been more.
That's why a couple of banks have granted moratoriums. So they just didn't announce it. I mean, and it's not altruistic either, but they have granted those moratoriums because what do you do? If you don't grant that moratorium, it's going to show on your books as bad debts, and that doesn't help you as a business. So, yeah.
So they grant that moratorium?
It's not altruistic. It's not altruistic, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not
altruistic.
Fidelity Bank said they're giving customers 150K, but you must have a specific type of Fidelity savings account to qualify for the 150K.
It's just a mess. I think
everybody's doing the one to meet their bottom line, and I don't even blame them.
Yeah.
CBS fine banks in this period for not making CRR.
Yeah.
FIRS is telling
4 trillion.
FIRS, the official FIRS account today sent out a tweet that telcos are making money, supermarkets are making money, so people should pay taxes early. This is official FIRS account.
I think the places where we found the altruism or the type of altruism that we're looking for is in like on a personal basis. So I know a couple of guys who have teamed up with their friends, lots of them in the technology space, to build this platform where they disburse 10K to people every 3 weeks. And all you need to qualify for that money is provide your BVN, which I think they use that to check to validate that you're a human being and to ensure that they don't pay you twice. And you can get 10K every 3 weeks. I know that they are trying not to push it too loudly so that they are not overwhelmed, but I think it's absolutely brilliant what they're doing. And yeah,
but what's good isn't there's one now, we are together.
That's the one. That's the one that I'm talking about. The we are together one.
We are together one. Isn't that's driven by Paystack, yeah?
No. It's
Who's
it's Bento verified on NG guys. Ebon and Chidoze. They're the ones
but
who
it's not,
push it.
it's not
But they partnered.
yeah, but
They
it's
partnered
not
with
just
people.
them now. There are multiple startups in that thing. It's not just verified.
So they started it and then asked people to fund it, join them. So they were the ones who put down. I think they put down $1 million.
But you know, verified with NG is pushing their verified with NG product.
No, so they just put brand sponsorship now.
No.
If you give them money, they'll put your sponsor. They'll put your. If you.
I'm not. What does verified with NG do?
It's payroll.
They don't do what's it called? How do they disperse the payments?
What
So they're not leveraging on verified or NG Tech to disperse payments.
No. They built a platform. I think that's where Paystack comes into the picture. So they partnered. So when they sent out the original mail, they were looking to partner with everybody to do all sorts. There are guys in PW, which is even how I came into contact with the thing. There are guys in PwC to provide audit services. Paystack and Co to provide the technology for disbursements. They needed a banking partner. They were talking to us to try to see if we could onboard people, but then there were worries about BVM registration and all of that. So they are not pushing a verify agenda at all. That was not even the market to push it.
So what I'm saying is it's not an outright sell. It's not an outright sell because there are multiple people that have done this fundraising thing for the need. And I just want to let you know that when you filter through the dust, it's a product push.
I will take this product push over handing money over to the government and asking them to disburse to the at risk. Even though I don't know what that means, because even me, I'm at risk. I don't know why I did not get any part of that money. But okay.
Lalo, you have not looked at numbers. You're not at risk. You're not at risk.
No, sir, please. I don't understand. Are you in my house?
You're not at risk.
Do you know if I've been drinking Gary for the last 3 weeks?
According to official numbers, Lagos has like 0% of the vulnerable in this country.
You say how many?
0%.
Like 0%. Lagos is not that. So a lot of this thing, a lot of urban poverty falls through the cracks. So it's very rural focused. So
yeah, which is why I am grateful for that. Say what you will about the We Are Together thing, but I know someone who I sent that link to, and the guy was just praying. And in my mind, I'm like, guy, this thing is not really, because I have to tell him, like, yo, this isn't me that is doing this. This is just a bunch of people who saw that, man, the government is not going to turn up for everybody. Maybe some people will get some relief. I mean, there have been videos all over the internet of the, in air quotes, relief material that they've been sending. You know, a community with like 200 houses, they got like one nylon bag of rice. And the guys were just they were very sarcastic in how they were saying thank you to the government, you know, and just travesty upon travesty in how relief has been distributed during this period. So individuals pushing it is, for me, I will take that.
So with regards to the relief materials being shared by government, obviously what is happening is what happens with anything government. If you saw, there was an interview with Dangote, this guy, Access Bank, Ugwe, all of them, and they're talking about how they're going to leverage local government structures and this and that. And honestly, when I heard that, I was like, well, that's that. It has scattered, because once you get to the local government office, they'll collect like 90% before they disseminate the rest to the actual people that would, need this relief material. So it's not, so maybe they're trying it on the government side, but then for as long as they leverage their structures, which are very porous and very, corrupt, that's the word really, then the people
Bro,
that
it
actually
sounds like you have inside gist. Do you want to share?
Well, I don't have inside gist. I'm just watching news. Please arise.
What's it called? Just a mildly related. I don't think I'm looking at the We Are Together Instagram, and it's everyone else handling it. Can someone keep that man away from social media and keep him away from comms?
That
He can't talk. He doesn't know how to talk to people at all. It's like that every day. If you read their thing, the stuff is like put it where you want to put it. That's his main type.
Oh my God!
Read it now. Read it. Like he's always vexing for guys. Koro, yeah, comms expert, please. Do you believe everyone should be on social media handling anything front facing for any company?
Oh my goodness!
Oh my God!
I just want to let everybody know that if they are ever looking to arrest anybody on this podcast, it cannot be any one of us. It's just Nosa alone that we should be targeting.
See, somebody asked about BVN. Ebon said, but seriously, this comes up a lot and it's absurd. This is Ebon, one of the coordinators. My BVN is XYZ. There's absolutely nothing you can do with that number that can hurt me. Can only be used for verification purposes. It is so abrasive, man. I don't understand. You mean there's no social media intern that can flower this thing up?
No, there is this. Let me just let you know right now. There's not going to be one. So he's gonna run this. He's gonna run it. Let's just accept it. It's not even going to.
To be fair, he did drive it. So,
yeah.
Last
not that counts, please, guys.
It's a side note, but yeah, it's just. I was just checking because I wanted to see something. I was like, man, why is this guy fighting everybody asking questions? Like, guys are asking what? On Twitter, yes. On the official account.
I see. Anyways, back to what we're discussing. I'm picking up from Ebun's comments about BVN and people's concerns around fraud. I know that we've seen a spike in fraud-related issues. So I know I personally have received quite a number of ransom emails like, we saw you that day, send us this amount in Bitcoin in next 10 hours, don't test us. And
Furo, they are sending you.
Oh, what did you do, for goodness sake?
I don't. Furo.
Oh God, what's it called? There is a ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous amount of fraud that's going on.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Can this thing? When I say, because he has put his BVN out there. I can use his BVN and open a bank account.
Yeah.
With one of these digital banks, I can say I am able and send it to people to give me money.
I was going
to say,
yes, that's his identity. His identity is hijacked.
Yep.
This happens a lot. Like with just his BVN, I can right now, as far as I'm speaking on my laptop, I can get his name, I can get his date of birth, I can get his house address, I can get his NIN, I can get his picture. Guys are banging fraud. You don't even know, like at unreal levels. Like I'm processing chargebacks every day. I'm having fraud discussions, all manner. And it's not even just in Nigeria. There's like international fraud for COVID. Oh, you qualify for COVID relief. Give us your social security number. We'll pay you this. There's so much identity theft going on right now, and it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like people are hungry and people are vulnerable. Worst combination.
Speaking of, just to digress a bit on this issue of hungry people. So my mom was telling me that someone that works for her was sharing some gist that's in her own area that the thieves are not even like breaking into houses and all. You know, all these like face me or face you properties that people have now resorted to like stealing food right off the pot in these times. And I found it so hilarious. Like you leave the entire house and it's like apparently they'll go there with like a container, so they don't carry the entire pot. So obviously you can have pots to cook the next batch that they will steal. So they will pour the soup into a container and then take off. And I just find out very well. Sorry for digressing. I just had to share. Everyone needs to know this.
It's not just there. I was talking to someone and they're telling me how even like in Ogun State, if you know people that come out on the roadsides to sell food and stuff, they've been robbed. Like, and people they don't come and steal their money, just steal all the food and dip. So beyond like all the nice, snazzy, the tech supported fraud, we enable fraud. We see like there's a rise in, person to person robbery and stuff. I mean, I was talking to a dev guy I know, and he was telling me how he, in his area, he's had to join the vigilantes because of this whole 100 million, maybe 10 million boys situation. So there's a lot of, like, as expected in these times, like there's a bit of a spike in crime because people have seen a window of opportunity, and they're, trying to take advantage of it for themselves.
Yeah, but Koro, do you have any advice I mean, at this point, I feel like everybody should, like, if you're at least literate, you should know that fraud is a real risk, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if you have like bank apps. But again, we'll just keep iterating. Do you have anything you want to say to people regarding fraud and like what they can do to protect themselves?
I would say a big one is actually putting out personal information. So I don't know if you guys notice this thing that happens on social media where people ask random questions like, oh, tell us 5 things about you, 5 interesting things about you. Yeah. Tell us 5 things that people don't know about you. I think it's so ridiculous to let thousands of strangers know things about you that your friends don't know. For me, it doesn't make any logical sense to put that type of information out there, knowing that there are all sorts of people on the internet. I mean, complete weirdos, and you don't actually know what they're doing with that information. And some of the questions they ask are questions that you would see, when you're signing up for an account, and they're like, what's your secret, whatever, what's the thing called, where you have to set up like your secret question, and it's something, very off, like what's your middle name or what's your father's, just what street were you born in, and these are questions that are asked, and people just are happy to give out this information. And because of what's going on with the lockdown and everything, a lot of people are restless and they're losing their minds. So it's likely that we're going to see an increase. It's actually going to increase over time of people falling victim to scams and these fraud emails and messages. So I would say, number one, can you just quit putting out your personal information? If you must, please lie. I mean, if you must answer these questions, make up something, So that's number one. And number two, one of the emails I've received from Monzo, they actually, so this is a global issue. So one of the points they made was like, do not share your PIN or pay for anything over the phone, no matter how convincing the person sounds. So we're going to see a lot of people capitalizing on, again, how desperate people feel, how emotional they are right now. And they're going to be keen into their emotions. And, you're going to be seeing more pictures of, oh, I want to, feed my neighborhood. You don't even know where they got this picture from. It's like some low quality picture. We're raising money for this, people calling you and saying, we're trying to, raise money to feed an orphanage or whatever. And they're asking you for your information. They're asking you to transfer money over the phone. It's weird stuff, and you would think that people won't fall victim to that, but you would actually be surprised by how gullible human beings can be when they are in certain what's the word I want to use? Just when things kind of go
when money is involved. That's what you want to say.
Yes, it just happens. I don't know what it is. And it's even worse when they feel destabilized, which a lot of people do. They are not used to working from home or being at home for long periods of time. So their minds are just sort of all over the place. So you need to be careful about who you're sending money to. People are raising, asking for donations, and all they're doing is send it to this account. There's no account name. I don't know who you are. How do I ensure that you're not some scam artist? So you're sending, money thinking that people are going to use it for something good. Meanwhile, it's just going straight to their pockets. So I'll be careful about also clicking on links to donate to charities. Where did this person get your email from? Who is this person? You just read a sub story and you fall for it. It's important to do research. Who is actually backing them? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's important for people to actually just take time out to read before they even do anything. Read the email. If you see typos, there's a huge chance that it's a fraudster. One word is capitalized somewhere and then small letter another place. low quality logos. These are things that people need to pay attention to. If somebody did not put in the effort to actually put together a professional looking website, it's secured and all of those things, they're most likely a fraudster. It's very, 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 very likely. I'd also say be careful about sharing your bank account details. We're going to be seeing a lot of people saying they're dashing out money. First of all, who are you? Who are you? Where are you getting 10,000 naira, 50,000 naira to give out? Yeah. I think there was one time a comedian, I don't want to say a comedian, one of these funny people, people that try to be funny, said, people should donate 500 naira to him and he will send it. I don't know, it was some weird stuff.
Wasn't that a parody account? Well, it's not parody because it wasn't making jokes. Like somebody created an account to impersonate.
You see what I'm saying? Exactly.
It was Lasisi. And
yes,
and people were responding and somebody really sent 4K to him. I mean,
it was ridiculous. It was
ridiculous.
Giveaways
was really now.
Yeah, these giveaways, and whatever form, these giveaways come in, okay, send me 5K and I'll double it. All of these things, just literally fraudsters trying to clean your money out. So be careful with emails. I mean, Access Bank, I was sending for Access Bank and GT are sending me 2 emails a day about fraud. Literally, so I can't even imagine what is happening on their customer service side. It means that customers are calling and saying, somebody defrauded me. I got a call one time from a quote unquote smile customer service rep telling me to pay for my data over the phone. And I said, I don't understand. I recharge my data on the website, or I use my bank app. Nobody has ever called me to tell me to recharge my account over the phone. And I said, okay, just humor me. How exactly am I going to pay? She said, you can pay, you can give me your card number over the phone, or I can send you my account number. You can transfer the money to me and I'll transfer it to the Smile account. I was like, do you think I'm stupid or something? Like, you really want me to believe that the managers of Smile, they went down to their customer service reps and said, here's our official Smile bank account number. Let people send, and I just thought this is such a sad attempt. I don't even know how she got my number. Honestly, you don't even know. People are probably selling information. You don't even know. I would just be careful. Like literally, anybody calls you and says, "Oh, you can recharge your distant account." You've never received a phone call like that. Then all of a sudden, it's scam, just fraud. Just don't do it. Just literally don't do it.
I don't do like. Kuda customer care, maybe I do it like at night, like every day. Maybe I do like night before I go to bed. And I think I see at least 2 or 3 people saying they've been defrauded somehow, asking if I can help them recover their money. At least 2 or 3. I don't even do like peak times. Like this late night. Oh, I did this giveaway, so I should transfer money. Can you help me recover it? Oh, this person called me for this. I've seen all sorts of stories. Like all sorts.
Man, people really need to chill on those giveaways because I get that the country is difficult, but if somebody is doing giveaway, you have to I think verify.
Yeah,
like for starters, there shouldn't be conditions.
People don't know the type of information that's available. I just DM'd for Ebon's details. With your bank account, I can get your own details, like everything used in filling your your account opening form. You can get it. It costs me like 5 cents to get your information. Wow. It is not expensive.
Yeah. And
there are people that have roles like as well. They have stacks of BVNs ready to deploy for whatever fraudulent thing they want to say. People don't understand. Data security in this country is already nonsense. Don't help guys by putting your thing out there, by using your own hand and putting it out there.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the BVN API is not available to everybody. No fintech can just wake up and say we are getting a BVN API.
Yeah, literally.
For you to get the BVN API, you have to get it from a bank.
Yep.
Because those are the only people NIPS will give it to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not a small. People don't know. You don't put your things out there because it's very sensitive. Because if the people that can access BVN, like the BVN, that are supposed to be able to access BVN database, the thing is that, okay, they're bankers and they won't do anything to defraud you. But like right now, it's oh god, it's another thing. It's another thing.
I mean,
so that's why this thing where everyone's talking about, oh, my BVN is free. You can just. I was like, it's not like that. It's not like that.
Yeah, and in all fairness, it's the reason why when we try to do some things as a bank, the risk and compliance guys usually push back, because sometimes we look at it from a user experience point of view, and then they're just looking at all the possible applications that fraudsters can use to, beyond just moving your money, your identity. God forbid bad nonsense. They commit frauds using your identity, and then you become a wanted person for something you know absolutely nothing about. So
I can give you an example. I think GTB or one of the big banks, they tried to do an online account opening thing. So the first step is that you put in your BVN. When you put in your BVN, it displays a page with a summary of your details. I can literally get.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
And go to that day and just be harvesting details.
Or I can even just be randomly imputing BVNs and
getting information. Just harvest it. It's just, they used to show you your full picture, your name, your state, your phone name, date of birth, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, is this you? Continue. God.
I think we've tried for.
Yeah, we've tried for this episode. So I think, like, to just summarize the last topic, I think everybody should just be vigilant.
Yes.
Don't share your personal information, recklessly. It is personal information. It is named. It is personal. Keep it to yourself. Especially your financial information, even like just information about your life, because that's what you use for security reasons as well. I think. Does anybody have any parting words?
Oh, I wanted to just quickly add that even with, we talked about, I don't know if we talked about companies pivoting to e-commerce, but I would say that even with companies that are saying you can order online and pay online and everything, I would say pay attention to the payment, the model that they're using, the payment model. Like, ensure that it's what you actually know the company, so actually just do a search, so if you're not familiar with Paystack or Flutterwave, it's okay to just Google and say, okay, what is this company, and even some of these bigger companies, financial institutions, like Global Accelerate and banks, they have their own what are these called? I don't know why it's escaping me.
Gateways.
Yeah, they have their own payment gateways. So you might come across one that is unfamiliar to you, but it's okay to do a search because it's likely that the bank has created a separate landing page for this payment gateway where you can learn information about it. So I'd say it's okay to do research. You are not being extra because you want to protect your money and your own personal life. So I would say even with that, it's great that these companies are going digital. It's fantastic. But even then, it's the merchant is not going to take the fall if somebody defrauds you while you're making a payment online. So while we want to encourage card usage because it helps with our GDP, just be wise and just be careful. These are very, very weird times, and there are people who are going to go after the vulnerable and the gullible. So just do not be one of them.
Yeah, and just to add, there's some of these FMCGs that are actually accepting bank transfers. So if you do see that, make sure that you actually look out for the account name before you do your transfer, just so you're not transferring to an individual. They all have like accounts that are named after the company that you're transferring into for this purpose. So on that note, thank you very much, Koromone, for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you.
And to the regular suspects, Nusa and Alu.
We shall see each other.
After COVID.
After COVID. Until we meet again.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.